So hello everybody and welcome to this podcast with myself, Dominic Smith, and Andy Hosgood. In this session, we're going to be talking about innovation in healthcare and what that even means. So my name is Dominic Smith. I'm the clinical application specialist at Physichat. So we are a medtech distribution company that specialises in innovative equipment. What I want to do from this session and learn from Andy and discuss and unpick this subject is to learn what is innovation, what is people's expectation of innovation, and what that is. So, Andy, if you could quickly introduce yourself, that'd be great.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Dom. My name's Andy Hosgood, for those that don't know, and I'm the founder and director of elevateyourclinic.com. I'm, I guess, also known for my being a physiotherapist at Summit Physio, where we started that together with my business partner. Almost 20 years ago now, it feels. I'm one of those people that's transitioned from being practice owner now into we have a consultancy company, which is the Elevate Your Clinic. So, but yeah, it's a great topic to talk about. So I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes.
Yeah, and I think it's just this could go anywhere really. So the first question really is, because we have our perception and our thoughts about what innovation is. But obviously practice owners like yourself, Andy, and you work with other practice owners through Elevate, is innovation, the word innovation in healthcare, what does that even mean? And from your perspective, what do you think, and experience, what do you think it even is?
Now, off camera, we've talked about this an awful lot, haven't we? So I think let's put it out there that, we're coming to this from a perspective that we've had an awful lot of conversations around this. And I think it's a really intriguing question, and I think there's two sides to the puzzle. I think that's the best way to describe the. There's what is true innovation, and I think one of the things that you guys are doing at Physichat is you're spending your time, effort, and energy finding the best products on the market. Is that fair to say that that every product that you do is probably the ultimate of the ultimates? Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that. Pardon?
Appreciate that.
no, but you do, don't you? Every piece of kit, I've known yourself and Andy a long time, and one of the things that you've always done is every piece of kit that you've done, you fully look to make sure it's the best on the market. And I also, one of the things I have to have a little plug for you guys while we're on doing this is the fact that you generally also make sure that when you take on a clinic owner or a clinic owner joins yourself, that you're supporting them on their journey to make that product, also how to deliver the best service with that product. So that's something which is great, and I think that's good. I think the part that we're alluding to, and they're on this conversation, I think when it comes to innovation, that can mean anything stepping outside the new barriers of healthcare professionals. So, let's be totally honest, one of the discussions that we seem to talk an awful lot about has to be shockwave, because that is something which, I remember being at the World Physio Conference in Singapore, 2015.
Yeah. And
that was all shockwave then. I still have nightmares or visions of spending hours in the theatre hall just listening to the and it was the first real time I was exposed to this thing on a global stage, where we had lots of providers explaining what it was and what it was doing for the tendinopathy market. And, that's when I should have been really innovative, because I hadn't really even touched the UK really. Well, not from my experience. And I would hope that I think it was probably here and there around, but that was the first time that I was very much exposed to the potential of what it could be and what the things it could be.
Yeah.
And it was only really, I would probably say, that over the last 2 years where I think there's been the bulk of people have caught on to it.
Yeah.
And I know we discuss an awful lot about things. And I think for a lot of people, jumping from I think if we take therapy aside anyway, being an outliner, being the person that's first going to put the head above the parapet and go, I've got the fanciest new bit of the kit, I'm delivering stuff, and not, I always use the analogy, not becoming the emperor's new clothes. So not buying that piece of kit that is, you know, has got a really good marketing strategy behind it actually, but clinical use is no good. So I think for a lot of businesses anyway, you taking the step to being an outliner and trying to innovate within your own industry, I think is always, people always have a level of hesitancy.
I mean, just on that, like, do you think there's been like a sort of a misinterpretation of innovation where you've got technologies out there that genuinely have an impact on clinical outcome, and that stuff that's just well marketed, and that stuff that's well marketed is seen as sometimes being innovative? And do you think there's a kind of like a misunderstanding and a misinterpretation that in that kind of sense?
So yes, I guess if as a global answer, I think we have to answer the answer to that is yes. And I think that, you know, and this isn't for me to call out other products, which I think are very well marketed, but I wouldn't say are very innovative. I think, and kind of, I believe, I think a lot of, but like all, you know, I think therapists are like any other consumer. We're led by what is fancy, shiny, and it's kind of out there, and we go, ooh, that looks cool, let's have one of them. Or we buy things where actually, you know, the practicalities of it, how much is it going to really change what we do?
Yeah.
So I think that is a really good point in the sense of, I think people are attracted to the shiny, fancy, well-marketed products. But also I think there's, I guess it comes down to a lot of things. Is if you're going to, let's be fair to most practice owners, they're really busy.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's the other issue is that, you know, especially from the practice owner that we had, you know, working the 60, 70 hours a week of just seeing in and out of customers all the time, you're knackered, aren't you? So we always have the dream of going, oh, there must be an easy way to do this. But finding the headspace to do that is always challenging. And I think so you almost are attracted to the easy route. Well, everyone else is doing that. Let's just do that.
Yeah.
Whereas I think having, you know, one of the things that we spend our time at Elevate doing is helping practice owners really understand what they do want, finding some headspace and time to kind of go, well, actually, if I really want this, then this is what I need to do with my organization and my business. And, you know, that might mean that we have to do things differently. And it might mean that I have the confidence to be an outliner and take a risk.
Yeah, yeah. And from our perspective, sort of for context from Physichat's perspective, is, I mean, like you say, is that we work globally with contacts and partners and assess what different technologies are available, and we're looking at, is it clinically effective first and foremost? Is it as clinically effective better in its field? Is it cost effective? And obviously, can you generate return on investment? Return on investment, we believe, should come from, because it's a superior treatment and gives you a good clinical outcome. Ultimately, that's what patients are paying for. So that's what your return on investment is that people are getting better. But I suppose, like, our experience is that we have people coming to us that know what we do and say, I want to offer something different. I want to be innovative. I want to step outside and offer some of your kit. Obviously, let's take cost out of the equation, because we know that is a big factor. But we do have a lot of experience where people just go, actually, no, I'm just going to go and do this, is what everybody else does. So we get given a brief, we want to do something different, and be innovative, but then end up just doing something that quite frankly, everybody else is doing, which obviously is frustrating, which is why we want to kind of learn about, you know, why people are doing that. And I suppose, do you think it could be a little bit of that? You've got your comfort zone, you've got your push zone, which kind of pushes you out and does things, and then things that go into the panic zone. And do you think there's any kind of legs in the fact that, you know, when people look at these technologies that are not, so let's be honest, that they're not used everywhere. The stuff that we do, it's growing, sure, but it's not used everywhere. Do you think there's a slight fear of, oh, I don't know if it is as innovative as it says it is, or it's a bit too far out? I mean, what do you think?
I think, to be honest, I don't think we can answer that question without bringing money into it.
Yeah.
And I think, and because, you know, from my experience, one of the things that is often raised is most physios or therapists, as a global thing, come to us and basically turn around and say that, yeah, but we're not very good at business because we were not taught it at university.
Yeah.
Well, most of them people have been in business 15 years, so I can turn around, we must have some kind of clue. A very broad generalization. I think that many, or probably we could push to most, don't regularly recognize or understand their own profit and loss. And I think you use the return on investment kind of thing. So I think there's always this lack of central or basic evidence to then make decision making on, if that makes sense. So I think I think we have to account on that. But I also think that when it comes down to technology, one of the things that most people then look at is going, well, how do I market this and would customers buy it?
Yeah.
And that then comes down to the other factor of, well, can I sell it? Now, also comes down to the fact of, well, am I good at selling?
Yeah.
So I think there's definitely, in my experience, that I generally think that, you know, if I can be totally honest, I think a lot of it comes down to a potential confidence issue of, can I deliver this well to a customer?
Yeah.
And, you know, will a customer understand the benefit, and will I be able to market this, and will I be able to, you know, are they going to like it? So there's a part of that. And I think you've got some outliners within our industry that are mega confident and will turn around and say, well, look, all you need to do is this and you're going to be better. So I think it's kind of multifaceted of where we are. I think we're in a big transition as an industry anyway. I think people are looking to try and find better ways of customer care. And, you know, so I think the shift is going the right way. Yeah. I think people are recognizing that they do need to adapt from a clinical perspective, from a customer support perspective, and also from a business perspective, like you say, is what is stand out, and actually what is general innovation, and what is just, you know, being kind of dipping your toe in the water.
Yeah, I suppose innovation can take like sort of many forms. I mean, we're talking about medical technology, which is, you know, for some people, they might not believe in that kind of thing, which is absolutely fine. Everybody's got their own, way of doing things. You get a result. That's what people pay for. I suppose, can you almost class innovation as if somebody's opened up a new gym? You know, they've knocked through 2 of their therapy rooms and put a new gym in there, or they've got a new exercise tool, something like that. I suppose innovation can be anything really. Go on.
Yeah, no. I think it's, you know, it's all down to what people believe is, you know, for me, everything comes down to, you know, a whole philosophy that I believe in. What actually is important for us to do is do what's important, what's best for the customer.
Yeah.
Or the client or patient, whatever terminology people are comfortable to use it in. For me, they're a customer because I'm a business, and without people paying us, unfortunately, wages, we can't pay our salaries and the staff and our rents and stuff. So I guess it all comes down to individual preference of, you know, for some people that is them becoming a strength and conditioning specialist, that they can now do some good, you know, and then being innovative within healthcare because they've improved their skills as a rehab, you know. And we hear that quite a lot, that, oh yeah, we're moving into this exercise-based style of physio. And that's, you know, but I'm worried about because it's so far away, which I then remind them, well, it worked for me 20 years ago and we did that model. So we built a business based upon it. So I can argue. And again, it's, you know, when people are telling us now that they're going to be a rehab-based model, which actually, that's been around. We've done that. So I wouldn't say that's innovative because I would say I've done it. Whereas for some people it is. And I think that's the problem around the words. And I think where we're going to in this discussion is that it's a very personable thing because it is, for some people, it is pushing their boundaries of their own comfort zone or their own clinical practice.
Yeah.
I think it's about them standing out and being challenged by peers for what they do. I think that's also something that we have to consider, especially in the world that we're in now of social media. If you standing out and saying, in my opinion, this is the way we should be, this is good clinical practice.
Yeah.
And in the fear that other peers are going to come back and go, oh, that's just rubbish. What are you doing that for? You should be doing this. So, you know, I think there's a lot of challenges, and I think, you know, there are some steps that I think other people need to take to get to where they need to go. I think the positives are, though, that, you know, people are becoming braver, and people are willing to make better decisions, to put themselves out there, to be different.
Yeah. I mean, from your perspective, obviously you have Summit Physio, it's your clinic. How many sites have you got there? Is it 2, 3?
We've got 3 at the moment. Yeah.
Right. So I'm going to pose this one to you. Over how many years has that been going, Summit?
Yeah, nearly 18 years. Yeah.
Yeah, 18 years. Can you off the top of your head, could you maybe say what the innovative things that you've added to Summit? Could be anything. What do you think over the years that you've had Summit Physio and run that? What's been the most innovative moment?
So what have we got? So how have we developed? So I think early days when I first graduated, we were still ultrasounding and sticking people on. So we moved very much away from that, which in our area, especially, there was still a lot of those kind of passive treatments where people weren't actually probably getting exercises, they were just coming and getting there. So for us to do some exercise rehabilitation at the time, that felt innovative because everyone's going, oh my gosh, no one gives us exercises. Whereas nowadays that's kind of standard practice.
Yeah.
I think we then moved into very movement analysis. So we changed our approach to rehabilitation. So we were rehab off the back. So everybody was on a rehabilitation model, which, like I say, at the time, people were coming in and just lying there while we were actually getting people moving. We went and did the performance matrix screening, which again was a step into looking at global movement rather than just, if you had a bad knee. We were also interested in what was happening at your hip, your thoracic spine. And we were very that kind of centric. And that was kind of our philosophy for a long time. I guess then as of recent, we have gone down the route of, we do have a shockwave machine. You will probably tell me off because it's not your old singing or dancing one. So I'll move on quickly from that.
That's a conversation for another
day. We bought into the force plate analysis. So we bought into the gait analysis force plate that allowed us to look at what was happening to the foot in contact with the floor, which then allowed us, if we felt appropriate and clinically relevant enough, to offer a 3D printed orthotic.
Nice.
Which is something we did. So we've got that. We spent a lot of time and effort and energy researching, and we actually got ourselves a hyperbaric oxygen chamber, which we use again as part of recovery.
Very nice.
So, so for us, that we would think that we've I wouldn't say we're here in the sense of, I think people are more innovative and more, but I think we're going that way. And definitely with, our processes and our procedures and how we do things, we're definitely looking at, again, how do we make the recovery, or how do we create enough options for our customer? Because I don't think one size fits all. I think so. The fact that we've got toys, you want to call them, or tools or whatever, that, we can help, if people is post-surgical, we put them straight in the chamber to help with the recovery. We use that as when people are, especially a lot of the fighters that are more prone to injury during weight cut, in that kind of 8-week program when they're cutting weight. And they're also very calorie deficient, but training phenomenally high. Again, as recovery, we've been using that as an injury prevention thing. And again, like you say, we added as part of our we've always been an exercise rehabilitation centre. So we've seen a lot of tendinopathy problems. So the fact that we then obviously added Shockwave into that kind of way of, again, the helping the chronicity patient, that all again. So we you know, I think we've on a timeline, we're trying to follow the trend. I
mean, what sticks out to me is that it's at each point you've kind of assessed and stepped back. Like I think, like you mentioned before, is just trying to create that little bit of headspace.
Yeah.
Come out of your busy day, try and create some time to sort of assess where are you going, what do you want to do, what is your core values.
Yeah.
And then you're looking at things that fit that, and like the force plates fits it. You know, you get more objective data, which means that you can move down. It's another product. Yeah, it's another service, it's another product to sell, but it's that all-round care that I think your patient customer will much more appreciate and much more likely to pay for, and keep coming back, I suppose. And that's kind of what took me out, is that there seems to be a trend, and I think that can be driven by social media and, you know, your online advertising, maybe trade shows. I mean, our experience of trade shows is that, you know, it's not often that you're going to buy something that's 15 grand there and then. It tends to be quite a, you know, it's a long process. But even then, it seems to be some people that kind of just like dropping things on a whim. And they're just doing it. I mean, I'm a sport and exercise therapist, so one thing that I see quite a lot of with sports and exercise therapy is as soon as they graduate, straight onto a needling course, straight onto cupping, straight onto ice dam, and it's just like bam, bam, bam. That's what I need to do to kind of differentiate myself. But everybody's doing that. But I suppose I think that's the thing, is that are they just dropping into that because that's what they feel is the right thing to do? Or are they actually stepping back and going, right, what's everybody else doing? What's my philosophy? What's my value? What do I want to achieve in clinic? And what tools, what toys, what things are available that can help me? If they're different, great. You know, different, I wouldn't say different is always best. Yeah. But I think it's, would you agree with that, as being able to actually step back and assess? Yeah, you can have a look at competitors. You can have a look at the local clinic and see what they're doing. But ultimately, you're going to be pulling their patients out of their clinic into yours. Likely, do you think? Probably.
Well, no, I think so. I think it's a really good question, and I guess it all comes down to, so, you know, one of the things we always do to give some relevance to this is, when we always do is when we start working with a business, we want to go, what is your vision for it?
Yeah.
What does this want to be? What is the, you know, and my business partner in it, Phil, who, you know, would have been great to answer this question. Unfortunately, he can't make this one, but we'll make the next one. He asks 4 really strong questions to a business to get them to look at why they're doing something, what's in it for them. But one of the questions he also asks is, what does it do in the wider world?
Yeah.
So you as a business and a practitioner, as a therapy business, you know, fundamentally, we've got a great opportunity, as cliche as it sounds, to change lives. Yeah. You know, that's it. You know, we get people in pain, out of pain, and living a life they want to live in a way that they want to live it. And I think that's, you know, that's what I love about my profession. You know, I love the fact of now I get the opportunity to help stressed out business owners change their lives, and in most cases make an awful lot more money, which is kind of what the purpose of business should be about.
Yeah.
So they can obviously invest in, and again, it's, I think I might have even did this on one of our recent kind of webinars, or I definitely wrote it in one of my blogs.
Yeah.
I should remember that kind of stuff, shouldn't I, on these kind of stuff for self-promotion. But one of the things is that the idea for me of any business is that you set out what you want to achieve. So what does the best look like? What do you want to be? Because we see this, don't we? Every physio puts, well, we offer 5-star service, or we offer world-class service. Well, what's that?
Yeah.
What does that look like? What is world-class service? And that's a question I always ask when people always say to me, "Oh, we provide first-class service, or, you know, 5-star." What does that look like?
Yeah.
And honestly, not many people can answer, Dom. Well, it means, well, we look after our customer. Yeah. Well, what does that look like? You know, what differentiates you looking after your customer from somebody else? So I think there's a really, so for me, when you look at that vision, and you look at what you want to become, that should be that you purchase the best kit on the market. It should be that you have, you know, if this is going to get me, if the clinical evidence says I'm going to get my best outcomes using this, then that's where you should aim to. You know, it might not always start off there, but it should be that, you know, it should be the optimum or the aim of where we need to go. The problem is no one spends the time to sit down and write that out.
No.
You know, I use the analogy of it's like getting in your car and forgetting to put the address in your sat nav and just driving around going, I'm going to get there one day.
Yeah, I'll eventually find it. I'll hit a signpost and it'll.
You know, so, you know, I guess, so for me, one of the things is if you don't understand what you recognize what your business to be and become, it's very then hard to turn around and say, well, I want to be innovative, because you don't spend the time to work out, well, what does that mean to you? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that's fundamentally is what does innovation mean to that person as an individual, as a team? Because obviously a lot of places are going to be teams of people. So it's, I suppose for anybody that's like listening to this or watching this, is that it's ask yourself that question: is what is innovation to you and your team? Find out what they feel, because we obviously work with Johns Hopkins, and Ken Johnson is the director of rehab there. He's absolutely fundamental on the psychology and the working mechanics of a team. He's massive on team, and he feels that innovation in technology really supports his team because it keeps them excited to come to work. They've got something new that can improve their practice and improve their outcomes for them and make them better therapists. So he's looking at the equipment and technologies, and he handpicks stuff, and he does his due diligence on that kind of thing. And that's his innovation. His innovation is, yes, he's got technology, but he's innovating in his team and actually wanting his team. That's his thing. He wants his team to provide that all-round service and have as many good quality options to provide the best outcome for their patient. And I suppose that's something as a clinic owner, manager, director, if you've got a team, it's important to find out what their version of innovation is as well, and what they feel is.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, and again then, but it does take a brave business owner to turn around to your team and go, what do you think we should buy to make this even better? And so, you know, we've always been, hopefully, we've always kind of, you know, we'll find out after this when we get feedback from the team, but, you know, that's something that's always pushed us in the sense of, you know, we want, like you said, we want to provide tools, toys, whatever, so that, you know, we want to provide the best environment for a customer to walk in and go, look, you know, whatever the problem is, we have the solution, you know, that's going to fix it. That's probably how we define what, you know, what we wanted to become at Summit. And I guess that's, you know, how we encourage and how we define what our service is, that, you know, we can diversify quite quickly.
Yeah.
You know, what we need to be. And it's definitely something with the team that we've got those tools that they can definitely move down at. So I think that's a really nice kind of way of putting it, Dom, is actually that what you're doing is, but also the key for me is that as you make, you know, if the ultimate goal is for everybody to help customers the best they can, if you're listening to this and you're a startup thinking, well, I ain't got the money to go and buy a fancy piece of kit.
Yeah.
Well, you haven't now, but, you know, you start making a little bit of profit every year, and then you reinvest that into something that makes you more profit, then before you know it, you can quite quickly, you kind of be affording some kit that, you know, sits into what your world-class service looks like. Yeah.
I mean, on the kit side of things, I mean, we recognise at Physichat that our stuff is, without wanting to sound too pleased with ourselves, is we know it's some of the best kit available in their relative areas. And we obviously know that comes with a price tag, so it means that it's not in necessarily reach of everybody. I mean, and we always try and support people where we can to make it as accessible as possible, because, you know, we want, where Johns Hopkins, massive internationally known hospital, you know, we've got equipment that's used at MD Anderson, Mayo Clinic, some of the biggest sites in the world, you know, even in the UK, when you're looking at some of the sites that we work with here, whether it's elite sports or the big hospitals, you want to make sure that that kind of stuff is available for, I don't want to say the little guy, because it's, you know, that I think that sounds a bit condescending, but I think it's wanting to make sure it's available for as many people as possible, so that everybody has the opportunity and as best opportunity possible to be able to get access to some of the most, sort of forward-thinking, innovative, obviously evidence-based equipment out there that can help people. I suppose, I mean, we mentioned the word innovation a lot. I want to throw in this word, evolution. Do you think that, there's a nice link between innovation and evolution? And innovating isn't necessarily just going out there, like you say, as a startup, going out there thinking, I've got to go and spend 8-10 grand on this bit of kit. But as you grow, you evolve, and you're evolving and you're moving. And do you think that's probably a different way to look at it, is actually how people evolve and how their businesses evolve, in terms of that's how they might be able to look at their innovation?
Yeah, but I think evolution is. I think that is the right way to look at it. That it is. If you think of a business, it is baby steps at the start, isn't it? And I think if you reference Michael Gerber's E-Myth, I think he talks about his infancy, adolescence, maturity of a business.
Yeah.
Until you obviously want to sell it up and retire. And I think it's like us all, we're constantly, you're always trying to add. And again, it comes back to the point I keep making that, for me, everything's around, I want to keep making money in an organization so I can reinvest to provide a better service for a customer. Yeah. Now, for me, that's where I like to innovate. But obviously, the higher end you go, it costs more money. So you've got to, there is a structure there. So I think you could argue that business is an evolution. I think, I guess the challenging point for me is how much the therapy industry is evolving, in the sense that, I think we're going to a very much a point of let's just get people moving more. I think that's really good. Yeah. But the fashion especially physio started off as something like rhythmic gymnastics, didn't it? A massage. So, even then it was asking you just to do, they can probably do some cooler stuff then than we try and get our customers to do these days. But, so, and I think it's all about how, but for me, it all comes down to, I think but again, you've got to, if you want to evolve, you've got to understand what you want to evolve into. Yeah, yeah. Where are you going? Where are you going? And, so my challenge of this is, again, like you were saying before, anyone listening, would be to take a bit of headspace and really understand what their business they would like it to become, and then understand the steps that they need to take to get there. And I think one of the things you guys are very good at doing is helping those conversations. So if you know where you want to go, you can help saying, well, look, this is how you could potentially get there with certain pieces of kit, or just, if anything, you're not pushy salesmen, are you? Non-eaters. I mean, which is why, you actually, you're not, you don't attempt to shine mirrors and shiny things in front of people with the intended. They just buy it.
We want to find people genuine solutions that work. And I mean, I suppose I was going to ask, it's kind of lead on to the next question I was going to ask, really, was because there's so many different technologies, companies out there. I mean, Shockwave for one, there's loads. Diagnostic ultrasound is another that we work in. And again, it's an absolute minefield. And obviously, people are still going to look at us with an element of we are biased because we're selling the equipment. Absolutely, hands up, we are going to be somewhat biased. However, there's a reason that we've gone into business with these companies, because we've done our research and due diligence, but we want to help people with that as well. I suppose from you as a clinic owner, when you've got so many different technologies out there, it's very easy to just go across the first one, right? Screw it. I'm just going to go the first one. I don't want to go down this rabbit hole because it could take me forever. Or, what would you do to people that are looking into sort of new kits, new technology? Is it just a case of take your time, find other people's opinions, speak to yourself, ask good, intelligent questions of the companies as well, and see what they genuinely have to offer and answer? It's not more than just a product. It'll be everything else. I mean, have you got any kind of like sort of nuggets that you could share in terms of
spot it? Yeah, just come and talk to me. No. One of the things I would always advise is, before you purchase anything, is fully understand how you're going to use it and where it fits into your model.
Yeah.
Because I think one of the things that I think does happen, and I think you're right in the sense of, you know, people will look for things that they feel like gives them a point of difference, but then doesn't fully understand how they're going to use it. And I think, so my suggestion is that the nuggets are, one, really think about where you want to go with it in the sense of what is your business plan? And that's something, get your vision, understand where you want your business to be, what you want it to look like. Two, really nail down the kind of customer service you want to deliver and what you want to be sitting your values and beliefs upon, and what that looks like from a customer perspective, and what you want, you know, delivering the best customer service, what that looks like. And then it is then about thinking about how to do that. And I think that's where the medical technology bit comes in. You've got the why bit, you've got the what and all that, what your customer service is, but how do you deliver that service, and where does that technology come into that part of it in, and how does that fit within your processes in your organization? And then once you understand that bit, then that should, and then, you know, you understand how you're going to price it, and you understand how you're going to market it and all those kind of things.
Yeah.
Then I think there's a few elements to it. Obviously, you know, depending on where you are and what investment you've got in it, it's then making good decisions based onto that, with the intent that, you know, you may want to just dip your toe in the water, and you may be risk averse, which is fine and okay. So you might not be buying the best product on the market, but you might say, well, actually, once we've nailed this down, we are going to go and buy the best piece of product.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so it might be that, you know, that most people are choosing an introduction as part of the evolution, if that makes sense. Whereas actually, when we're fully evolved and done, that we have the ultrasound to say, yeah, look, what we've actually found is that you do have this Achilles problem. Look, we can see it on the screen, and we've actually got the best piece of kit to fix this, and we've got the best gym available to do your loading afterwards, and you can go and have a sleep in a hyperbaric chamber, and actually we've got an espresso machine for afterwards if you want to have the best coffee. So again, it's, whereas actually when people start, it might be that they're in a clinic in a gym, and they've got some Nescafe in a kettle. What I'm saying is that customer service can still be the same, but you always, you know, you want to think about how do you evolve. And I think that word evolution is a really nice way of putting it, to become even better and even better and even better and even better. And I think for me, that's the, you know, where people should be driving their own selves and their businesses towards.
I mean, I think that's maybe summed up beautifully there, Andy, I think. But no, I think it's been really interesting from my perspective, and from our perspective as a medtech distribution company. I think it's important to, you know, speak to guys like yourself that own clinics, run clinics, because we obviously come with an idea, but to be quite honest, you know, we understand from the outset of how a clinic run. We used to have our own clinic. We did see our own patients, which I thought was quite unique of a medtech distribution company. We still actually are involved in that clinic, not directly, but, you know, we still work with that clinic. So we still understand how to, you know, sort of run that aspect. But I think it's been really interesting sort of breaking some of that down. And for me personally, I speak to a lot of clinic owners, obviously with the equipment. I want to be more than sales. It's not sales. It's, you know, if you've got a problem, you've got a solution. We just want to try and find a solution, but something that's going to help grow somebody's business, but actually improve their clinical outcomes. We're quite honest. Shockwave's the perfect example. That the focus system that we've got, it's excellent, frankly. But if we don't feel that it fits their business, we'll just say, right, I don't think it's for you at this time. We're not shy of saying it's, you know, we don't think it's for you at this time. We want to make sure that the things are right for people. But I think speaking to you today and sort of delving into the whole innovation thing and getting an idea of actually different people's versions of innovation and understanding where people may be coming from, I think will be useful for me personally and us as a company as well. And I hope people have been listening to this as well, have taken some interesting information from it, of actually, if you are one of those clinic owners that is working 60, 70, 80 hours a week, have you asked yourself the question, where is your clinic going? What do you want to do? And if you haven't for a while, then make some time and try and take some time out and do that. Would you agree on that, Andy?
100%. I mean, for me, that's the biggest, that unfortunately one of the big things is, and I think we're recording this in a time we've just come out from COVID, and I'm going to be honest with you, Dom, I've had some really uncomfortable conversations with some really, really upset practice owners over this time, because they're an awful a loss of where they're going to go with the business. And when we kind of sit back, discuss it and look at it, they haven't taken that time. And so what they've been doing is they've been head down grafting really, really hard, by the way. I'm not saying anyone's not been but the problem is what they've been lacking is the clarity of where they're taking it. And so unfortunately they haven't moved very well. They haven't been diversified their business, so that it meant that obviously during this time that they really struggled. And I think it's a really sad thing. So hopefully if we can take one positive from this pandemic, is that what it allows people to do, it's stop, breathe, think about your business, your organization, what you really, really want from it, and realize that actually just getting your bed down and grafting for 60 hours, which is, which might be good for the bank account at some point. But actually, the other thing is that therapists have faced burnout then.
Yeah, especially face burnout and then just becoming so blinkered and just stuck in a rut almost.
And then all of a sudden, there's some sad conversations when I know some, unfortunately, even pre-COVID, they've just closed the doors.
Yeah.
Because they were just burnt out. And I think that's the thing. So, but that's also why we're here to help, isn't it? That's why we're doing these kind of things. And I guess what would be interesting for me is, I guess, could we do a little, I'm going to throw a competition out there. Why don't we challenge people then? We're curious, aren't we? Because we've been discussing this innovation for a while. So we're curious. Why don't people comment what innovation means to you?
Yeah.
What we'll do is we'll put something together as a little prize. It'll be a surprise because we're thinking of this on surprise. That will, that people, if they, we'd be curious, because again, what does it mean to individuals? And it'd be interesting to see what people think are innovative in our practice at the moment in time. I think that'll be helpful to you as well, to give you some insight into what people feel that it'll be out there. And then if there is anybody out there that is struggling to find head from the trees, then, ask for help.
Yeah, sure. No, I agree. I think great to hear what people have got to say. As Andy said in the comments, in whatever platform that you're watching or listening to this, is send in your feedback. The Physichat email is info@physichat.com, or if you just pop it in the comment section as to what your interpretation or thoughts of innovation are, like Andy said. And obviously, if you want to know more about what Andy does, it's Elevate Your Clinic.
ElevateYourClinic.com. Yeah, so you can contact me at dead simple Andy@ElevateYourClinic.com. Can't be any easier than that.
Perfect. Yeah, I say Physichat. Just Google us on online. For anybody that doesn't know, PHYSIQUIPE. Rolls off the tongue, Nigel, is a nightmare to spell. But Andy, look, thank you very much for taking your time. Obviously, we're going to do some follow-up podcasts with this as well. One we're going to look at, for anybody that's interested, is the relationship between the consumable spend and how much people in clinics are spending on their consumable products, so massage lotions, tapes, etc., and capital equipment. How can we spend so much on consumables? We'll hope to be joined by Alex Nesbitt from physiosupplies.co.uk. So he's in the thick of it and should have some really good information around just how much people are spending and how much they could be saving, and if that can actually open up the door for you to be innovative. So that'll be the...
I'll give a confession on this. So while we're bigging Alex up, so we had him just audit ours.
Right, okay.
Embarrassingly, I'm going to confess this, 45% he saved us.
Whoa.
So okay. that is one. If you're wondering where all your profit's going, then it's definitely listening to that podcast that we do with him, because that'll be brilliant.
Sure. So yeah, we'll have that one out, and we'll hope to speak to you soon. But Andy, again, thanks very much for your time.
Thanks for having me, Dan. Been wonderful.